Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari heads for Morocco for the Climate Change Summit to push for support on the cleanup of Ogoni land. Communities in Oyo State decry shortfall in supply of electricity, demand improvement to run their businesses. And House of Assembly members demand inclusion of Kogi State as oil producing. And US President-elect Donald Trump makes a U-turn, says Mexican border would probably be a fence. We'll begin tonight with the President's expected visit to Marrakech, Morocco, to join other world leaders for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, also known as COP22. President Muhammadu Buhari is participating in the opening plenary and will deliver a statement during the high-level segments of COP22. The President's address is expected to highlight, among other key issues, Nigeria's unwavering commitment to implementing the nationally determined contributions and policy actions aimed at tackling climate change through environmental sustainable efforts. President Buhari will also use the occasion of his speech to rally international support for the cleanup of Ogoni land in the Niger Delta and resuscitation of the Lake Chad Basin. It is indeed the sixth day of the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Marrakech, and delegates are yet to agree on some of the key issues in the Paris Agreement. Transparency and financial guidelines are some of the areas that are yet to be resolved. Our correspondent, Ayola Kazim, who is in Marrakech, now reports.
Delegates arrived Marrakech with the realization that real work of the Paris Agreement begins now. The nationally determined contributions are a projection of what countries expect to contribute, but negotiators have yet to see any guidelines describing how countries will be kept accountable under the agreement. Halfway through the conference, although positive, negotiators are yet to agree on key issues.
Now we have even more urgency to get to work and finalize the elements that we need in order to have a fully operational Paris Agreement. The fine print, the rule book, and the rules through which governments will measure, account for, and review how global climate action is being advanced. One
result of the Paris Agreement is that countries each have determined their own voluntary contributions to the ultimate global emissions reduction goal. 100 parties have submitted their first nationally determined contributions, while 109 of 197 parties to the convention have ratified it. Nigeria is one of those yet to ratify and submit their commitments. The President is expected to ratify the agreement next week.
We did not rush to do this signing or ratification because we wanted to do a stakeholder consultation, which we did, to make sure that we carried everybody along with us so that people will get to know exactly what this issue is all about.
A total of $142 billion has been estimated for the implementation of Nigeria's plan, and according to the World Bank, this could yield a national benefit worth $304 billion. The task before Nigerian delegates is to share projects and initiatives with potential partners at the conference.
We are going to meet with other like-minded people that may have similar or even worse problems than us, share ideas, gain knowledge from them, and try to implement it in our country.
Reaching the Paris Agreement's ambitious target of 1.5 degrees Celsius warming, or even staying below 2 degrees Celsius, will require nations to up their emissions reduction targets far beyond what they have already committed to.
In particular, they can mention about how they're going to deal with overachievement of their 2020 targets and make sure that those emissions aren't used as a buffer in the next commitment period.
For COP22, the ultimate goal is to think critically about the logistics of the Paris Agreement and determine a comprehensive and cohesive framework for success. Ayola Kasim reporting for Channels Television News.
And back here at home, the Minister of Works, Power and Housing says the ministry had fared well this year than previous years based on the budgetary provisions and due process in the awards of contracts, as he gave accounts of his performance. He made the remarks while delivering reports of his first year in office in Lagos. The minister also says that a lot is being done to improve the power generation and transmission, as well as the state of the federal roads.
1 year after resumption of office, the Minister for Works, Power and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, gives an account of his stewardship. To lend support is the Minister for State and top officials of the ministries under his purview. With a budget size of 260 billion naira, as against 18 billion set for works in the previous year, over 200 roads projects already contracted out, and an outstanding completion cost of about 1.5 trillion naira. The minister gives an insight into the first challenge he had to grapple with.
The budget has improved from between the last administration and the current administration by many folds. But it is against the context of those liabilities that I've spoken about, because contractors hadn't been paid. So essentially, what were we going to do to get contractors back to work with our big but small money?
Faced with the task of limited resources in the light of huge liabilities, it became paramount to prioritize projects effectively and efficiently. Road projects cut across the 6 geopolitical zones, including the Tambuwa-Makera-Kontagora Road, Ilori-Jeba Road, Lagos-Shagamu Road, and Aba-Port Harcourt Road.
Port Harcourt-Aba Road, we couldn't mobilize to site until Monday, 31st of October, just recently, because of the high water table in that area.
On par, the minister says 24 billion naira was approved for the year, and expansion work has since started at different parts of the country in order to improve wheeling and transmission capacity.
The maximum power we have generated this year and in this country is 5,000 plus. The current transmission capacity is about 5.9 now, and it's growing progressively. What it must do is that it must stay marginally ahead of the generation capacity.
The housing sector appears not to have seen much action. However, tenders have been considered and over 500 contracts are set to be awarded, with 27 states already keyed into the project.
This project in the first year is going to require 22,288 doors, 27,849 windows, 3,502 water systems, 3,502 wash hand basins, 261,299 square meters of floor tiles, 178,680 square meters of wall tiles.
Question and answer segment soon followed, with attention on several issues, including tariff and low-cost housing. With the Rural Electrification Implementation Program set for rollout, over 42 bridges getting attention, and much more happening in the housing sector in 2017, the nation's economy may just be getting repositioned for a bounce back. Chris Illems, Channels Television News.
And after an enduring week navigating through the link road under construction connecting Isheri North in Lagos to Magodo, that will be Magboro, Ibafo and Arepo communities, residents and commuters of these areas are appealing to the government to find a way to ease the gridlock. Our report captures the experience of the residents of these communities and the state of the road under construction.
It has been a hectic week for those living under these axes. Some have had to reschedule important appointments, and some could not even take their children to school. No thanks to the road construction from Isheri North down to Arepo axis. Not even the presence of the traffic officials could abate the gridlock. This has brought untold hardship to the people of Magboro, Ibafo and Arepo communities, as it has crippled business activities.
citizens and people they are suffering for the.
It's been challenging for people coming from Lagos to Ibadan. Sometimes they've had to sleep on the road. It's also slowed down business for many.
Sleep for the road because for the hold up.
We thank the government for this road construction. We know it will eventually be good. However, we've had some difficulty. There have been gridlock. People coming from Lagos down to Magboro have had hard times. We know we need to endure, but the government should help us. There is an alternative route that the government could also work on that links the expressway to Wawa down to Arepo. If this is done, it will ease the burden.
The federal government says it is committed to reconstructing most of the federal road projects across the country.
Working with Agric, they've given us certain critical routes that lead to food production centers in the 6 geopolitical zones. Again, in year 1, we can't do all. But again, those are the choices we are making. How do we evacuate our food from farm to market? Those will be the roads that we will choose.
Now, why has it been this difficult to manage the traffic situation? Joining me on the news at 10 is the Zonal Commander, Lagos and Ogun FRSA, Mr. Shehu Zaki. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10 at this time. For 1 week now, Nigerians, you could just look at me, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. For 1 week now, Nigerians have lived through this harrowing experience through the Moe axis. What have you been able to do to ease the pains of the people?
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. Looking at what is happening along the road, definitely you will believe that there is a lot of anger. There is a lot of anguish in the eyes of the people. And the basic question everybody would like to ask is, what is Federal Road Safety Corps doing in addition to other agencies responsible for easing the traffic congestion? Now, what we have seen in the last Wednesday, as well as Friday through Saturday, it wasn't only a mere traffic congestion. What we have seen in these 2 days had been a kind of gridlock and what we can call logjam, a situation whereby vehicles find it very difficult to move. You will quite agree with me that the road is under rehabilitation. And looking at the fact that this is the only route leading out and into the Lagos, and when you look at it in view of the fact that the traffic coming into the Lagos and going out of the Lagos, out of Lagos, is really very, very high. Looking at the fact that out of 7 million vehicles in the country, about 2 million are found in Lagos, and that is only the registered vehicles. You can also see that there are vehicles that are not also registered.
Is it that the Ministry of Works did not inform you about these repairs that will go on, and how have you been able to adjust your schedule just so that you're able to ease this, because this is of great concern for so many people?
You see, we had been in constant touch with the Federal Ministry of Works. We have also been in constant touch with the company handling the construction. But the problem is that what you have just seen, that is narrowing the lane from 2 to 1, I think is the best alternative under the situation. Why I'm saying this is because it is from the beginning of the bridge to the end of it, which means there is no allowance for us to have an alternative road. Apart from the fact that the rain has just ended, subsided, in the last 2 weeks, the entire area was flooded. Which means it was practically impossible.
Mr. Shehu, I'm afraid that we're going to have to put a pause on you there and get back to you as quickly as we can in part 2 after the break. Presidency speaks on plans for Budget 2017. That's coming up after this break. Join us again.